Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Okay, Rose, I'll let you know from the beginning, from the get-go. I'm not no person of knowledge or anything like that, so if you come and seek some knowledge, then I'm going to be the wrong person for you. I'm just basically, everyone's got a story, everyone's got a journey, and this is my story and my journey. So I just hope that someone, anyone, might just benefit from what I've actually been through and how I actually got to where I am today. So I'll start. So basically, alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, I started out as a young man growing up in the area of like the Brixton area, to those that know it. I grew up there with my mum, single parent family, as you do, in my circumstance anyway. Alhamdulillah, I'm not one of those cases where I didn't know my dad. My dad lived around the corner, but alhamdulillah, we didn't grow up in the same household, so I grew up in that kind of scenario, just like many people in my area. So as I was growing up as a young man, obviously I was not Muslim. My family was not Muslim, but I was very family orientated. So my grandparents, they lived in the West Norwood area, so I'd regularly go to see my grandparents and so on and so forth. I had a lot of cousins, like 9 uncles and aunts on one side, and further, quite a few on the other side, so I was very family orientated. Well, growing up in my area, there was a bit of a trend. Everyone wanted to be, to put it bluntly, everyone wanted to be on this kind of road mentality. Everybody wanted to be known, everybody wanted to be somebody. So growing up in my area and in my environment, I was the same. I wanted to be somebody as well. But that didn't start till probably later on in my life. When I was young, I was quite a good guy. I was quite a good boy. Didn't really give my mum much trouble. Didn't really go out regular. To be quite honest, I weren't even allowed out regularly, to be honest, at first. So only when I got to a certain age, you get to a certain age when you start to see your friends are going out more regularly. When you get to like late primary school, early secondary school, this is when the problem starts, because you start to see what other people do. Even in regards to girls at a young age, wasn't really involved in that until I started to see my friends was involved in that. So, as I said, I grew up in that situation. Then, as I got older, as I said, my life started to change a bit. Influences, outside influences. I wanted to start making money just like everybody else. So I didn't want to necessarily be that same good guy, because the good guy never really seemed to get anywhere in the area that I was growing up in. So slowly but surely I started to change. Left home at 15. Then after I left home, I went to live with like my grandparents in another area. Slowly but surely, as I said, my life began to change. Started to get involved in the even deeper with the wrong people. And like everybody else, as I said, I wanted to make money. So I started to go on my little path, my little journey of trying to be somebody. It's quite funny. It's because a lot of these youngsters nowadays, they think that there's some massive process in regards to becoming, well, a road person or a gangster, whatever you want to call it. There wasn't even no process. It was a case of just seeing other people, and one day I just woke up and said, you know what? I want to be like that. I want to be like that. And that was it. One day I just changed. I didn't even get, not many people know this, but I didn't even get my name for a particular reason. I just said, nah, I want to be called this. This is the name I like. And I gave myself a name. And then I went about, it's almost like a business. You go about promoting your name. Your street name, your road name. You go about promoting it because everybody wants to be known to a certain degree. And then I started my own business, in inverted commas, to try to make money. And then what happened is, as you go through this process, you start to know more people. You start to know more men, you start to know more women, and you start to go even more down the wrong path. But what I discovered about this wrong path is that it's not all that it cracks up to be. It's not all glitz and glamour. It's not all of that. It's not what everybody thinks it is. It's a very lonely road. I remember one time, my own friend tried to set me up. My own friend, let me rephrase that. Someone who I thought was my friend tried to set me up in order to try to take what I've achieved. But one thing that lifestyle taught me, and it's the key point, is that there's a very big difference between having fun and being happy. Very big difference. I would go out raving, have fun, I'd meet new girls regularly, have fun, smoke, drink, have fun, but go home and feel like there's something missing. Many people, they can't go home and sit down in silence. There's many people that's not Muslim, and even many Muslims, if they're not practicing properly, they go home and something's missing. You could have money, but something's missing. You could know a lot of people, but something's missing. Something's missing. And I've felt that. I've experienced that. I remember when someone was telling me about Islam before, I used to go home. I remember the exact scenario. I actually got to the point where I felt like, yeah, everything's falling into place. This is exactly where I want to be. I was making quite a bit of money at that time. I was quite known at that time. And I sat down on my bed and I was like, something is missing. What was that thing? We'll get to that. But as I said before, there's a very big difference between having fun and being happy. I remember as I got older now, my friend was actually worse than me. He began to tell me about Islam. And at first, initially, I didn't really want to know. Why? Because I was going through my process. I was going through my lifestyle. I was trying to do what I wanted to do. But I would listen. Only reason why I listened to him because he was actually my cousin's boyfriend at the time. So I kind of had no choice but to listen to him, because whenever I go to my cousin's house, he was obviously there. And he was telling me about Islam. And he would tell me about it, but I didn't really want to get involved. Why? Because my lifestyle wasn't conducive with what he had to offer. Because there's me living my life however I want to, but he's telling me I need to live my life the way God wants to. It wasn't conducive. But I would listen because he had some very intriguing things to say. He had some things that were very captivating. He told me about Allah and he told me about Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and I was intrigued. Why? Because I came from a Christian background. My whole family's Christian. Different types of Christians, but they're all Christian. So we've got Seventh-day Adventists in my family. We've got Pentecostal people in my family, for those that know what that is. We even got some Catholics in my family. So I was very familiar with Jesus, peace be upon him. But I didn't know nothing about Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But the things he had to say to me that actually made sense, in the fact that he told me in Islam we don't believe Jesus is God. I thought it kind of makes sense, because my natural instinct didn't make me believe that Jesus was God anyway. My natural disposition didn't really accept that, though I was brought up being told that. It never actually made sense to me. It never made sense that God could be a man to me. But if you tell someone something long enough, eventually they'll just go along with it. And that was the case with me. I didn't argue it. I didn't necessarily believe it because it never made sense, but I just accepted it because this is what you're told. And the more people tell you something, is the more you believe. That's why they have adverts. Because they tell you, buy this product, buy this product. They keep telling you over and over again, you actually believe that if you buy this product, your life will change. The only product that I've actually purchased that was actually truthful and it said if I purchase this product, my life will change, was Islam. That's the only product I've ever had that actually was true to its word. So as I said, I'll keep going back for dawah. Not necessarily for dawah, but I was going back there and he was giving me dawah anyway, whether I wanted to hear it or not. He was very persistent. His name's Mohammed. May Allah reward him. I mean, and there was my cousin, her name was Amina. May Allah reward her also. And my other cousin, Abdul Rashid. They were all very persistent in giving me this message of Islam. And I remember one time, I actually went there and it was being quite firm with the dawah. It was like, listen, if you know so much about Islam now, that if you don't take a Shahadah and you were to die, you'll go straight to hell. And I was like, that's a bit deep. You know what I mean? I thought, well, that's a bit deep, it's a bit excessive. I mean, but this is the stance that they took. It's quite firm with me. But they based it upon the fact that, look, because I know and I kind of believed to a certain degree, my knowledge would have been my downfall. And that very night, I remember I left the house, I walked down the stairs and I jumped in my car. And before I jumped in my car, I thought, let me quickly have a quick smoke. And I was sitting on my car, just smoking. And I went to turn on my engine and my car wouldn't start. This is outside the house that I was receiving dawah in. And I kept trying it, it wouldn't start. So I got one of them to contact the AA for me. So I was outside smoking, and finally the AA came. When they come, they told me the problem with my car is that I had a fuel leak. Something was like the hose, I don't know how, but it disconnected. So therefore, he's fixed the fuel leak and my car was starting. But when he looked, there was some fuel on the floor, and then one of them comes down and said, look at that. Look how you're smoking and you had a fuel leak. If you dropped what you're smoking in the fuel, you could have died and you would have went straight to hellfire. That very night I took Shahadah. I wouldn't recommend that approach to anybody, but it worked for me. So alhamdulillah, may Allah reward them, I took Shahadah. But one of the things that, as I said, I was afraid to take Shahadah was the change, the lifestyle change. I liked women a lot before I was a Muslim. Still like them now, but you know, in a controlled manner. I liked money a lot. I liked music a lot. Now, this was the problem for me because I thought, if I'm a Muslim, how would I make money anymore? Because it's not conducive with the way I live. And what's going to happen with my woman problem? But what I've learned is this. There are many things in life that look similar, but they are not the same. Just like I told you, fun and happiness is not the same. You could see two people, a man and a woman walking down the road one way and another man and a woman walking down the road in an opposite direction. They look the same, but one will be married and one is a boyfriend and girlfriend. One is accepted by Allah, one isn't accepted by Allah. There could be two people sitting down side by side eating a meal. One is halal, one is haram. One is accepted by Allah, one isn't accepted by Allah. And there are many examples of this. There could two people be reading a book. One is getting ajr for it, one is not. One is reading the Quran, one is reading some standard book. And it's the same with money. If money was the key to happiness, millionaires wouldn't kill themselves. I tell you that for a fact. It's not. That's why they always feel like something is missing, and I discovered that. So when I took my Shahadah, all my concerns, they began to go away slowly, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decided to guide me and show me certain ways. I remember applying for my first job, and I was scared because I've never really gone through this process before. And what did Allah do? He made it easy for me. I got the job with no interview. I couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it. There's me worried out of my life. How am I going to make money now? And Allah just gave me a job just like that. Bam. So I've gone from making haram money to halal money. Just like that. A brother gave me some advice. He said, listen, if you put your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He'll provide for you like He provides for the birds. And it's true, akhi. I put my trust in Allah, and Allah got me out of that haram lifestyle, the haram money, and He gave me a job. Have you ever seen a skinny bird? Never. Yet none of them have a wallet. They don't have no bank account, yet they get provided for. And that's the way we have to be. We have to put our trust in Allah, and Allah will provide. Then I was worried. I was thinking, what's going to happen with my woman's situation? Allah gave me a wife. Alhamdulillah. And to this day, alhamdulillah, I'm still married. I actually had some children before I was Muslim, and I actually married the mother of my child. And to this day, I'm still with her, alhamdulillah. So it's been a very, very long time. And I didn't think that was possible for me. But as I said, Allah is great, innit? Alhamdulillah, it changed me. So there were many aspects. Smoking. Once again, by the permission and the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I stopped smoking like that. I stopped smoking immediately. Immediately. To this day, I just have to thank Allah for that. And all I'm basically saying, brothers, is that you can't, sometimes, as I said, many things, they look similar to what you're doing, but they're not. Like you might see certain people look like they're enjoying their life, and you aspire to be like that, and they don't even have Allah in their life, and you aspire to be like that, but just because it looks like that, you mustn't be, don't get things misconstrued. What you have, what we have, Islam, it's an amazing thing. And I know that because I've seen both sides of the coin. I've seen both sides of the coin. And I'm happy that I've been guided to this side. And I'm happy that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen me to be where I am today. Imagine, I've gone from worrying about not having anything, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed me to even open about 4 businesses since I've been Muslim. Halal businesses. I don't want to get in the wrong impression. 4 halal businesses. Alhamdulillah, one of them I even opened an Islamic shop some time ago. I don't have it anymore, but I opened it. And it felt like an achievement for me because as far as I'm concerned, I've gone from nothing to something because I gave up everything. I gave up everything. Yeah. So I guess what I'm just basically trying to say is alhamdulillah for the path that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me and chosen for me, and I'm very, very grateful. And I hope that everybody appreciates what they have in regards to their deen, the deen of al-Islam, because it's something you didn't have to physically pay for, yet people are spending their money on a daily basis trying to achieve what you've been given for free. You've been given it for free. You know, it's funny because sometimes it's like when I was working one time, someone said, oh, how do you pray 5 times a day? Like, wow, 5 times a day, that's a lot, innit? Like, how do you pray? I'm like, how do you smoke 5 times a day? Everybody finds a time to do something they love or something they're addicted to. And this is why you can't make anybody try to make you feel down for the decision that you've made to be Muslim. That very person will ask me how I pray 5 times a day and look confused. Smokes cigarettes probably double the times that I pray, and it takes longer. But they don't mind. They don't care. It's like they ask sisters, oh, aren't you hot in that? Because they're wearing an abaya. I tell the sisters to laugh and ask them, when it's freezing cold and they're going raving, they're going out partying and they're in some short skirt, you know, aren't you cold in that? It's the same principle. Whatever you've been given, you have to appreciate it. You have to appreciate it and know that it's a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And don't feel ashamed of what you have, because you don't want the other side. Because as I said, I've been there and I've done that, and it ain't worth it. And I said to Imam Shakir, I'm not going to speak for long because, as I said, I don't want to bore anybody. I just thought that, as I said, this is my brief journey of Islam from being a non-Muslim to a Muslim. And I thought I'd just share it briefly with you. I wouldn't go too much in depth because, to be quite honest, I was at work today and I've got to go back to work after I leave here. So